that this will make a difference. And we deal with a lot of public safety issues in the legislature. We deal with them every week, every month, every year. And there are very few that have come forward that have the potential that this idea has, not only to deal with crime that occurs after the fact and loss that occurs after the fact, but to prevent avoidable loss of life and tragedy. And so we continue to move forward at a very deliberate pace to try to get this bill passed and onto the governor's desk. So there's a little bit of a synopsis, Gary, about where we've been and where we're headed.
I appreciate that. Yes, we had numerous meetings at the State House with legislators, people from the community, in state police, local police. We even had CJIS, the Criminal Justice Information System division of the FBI, to basically look at and kick the tires. They were all, you know, checking to see if this would work. And not only did he say it would work, he said it's a good idea. So you know, when we talk about license plates, you know, they've become more and more difficult actually to recognize, because I don't know if you can get this. I believe they scanned this in, but states are now using the plates for advertising. You know, bringing tourism dollars to the states. Well, it can certainly be used, but the fact that they're doing this makes it even more difficult to glean that type of information. And you know, when we take a look at the way the plates used to be, there's going at the top over here. You see, they used to be larger, so the fonts have gotten smaller, and when you take the segment of the population, which was surprising to me, how many people are actually dyslexic? Or if you were looking in your rearview mirror to try to get the information of a car behind you, numbers and letters become almost like hieroglyphics, very difficult to see that type of information. Whereas a symbol is a mirror image of itself. A star is still a star, a heart is still a heart. So it's much easier to recognize. Now, when you mention, you know, the families that were there, Molly Bish, of course, one of the inspirations for my inventing, you know, this format. You know, Maggie Bish, she spoke at the press conference. You know, she had seen a white car, and she beats herself up every day because she wasn't able to recall the license plate, you know, information there. And you know, the smarts also came out for the announcement of the legislation, and they had license plate issues when they were trying to recover Elizabeth, and basically they're asking, let it start in Massachusetts and sweep across the country. And as you mentioned, you know, we did get the support, the very important support of the law enforcement community. And you can see here, this is Bob Barry, and he is, at the time, he was the president of the Massachusetts Safety Officers League, and he said, we need programs like this. This is a blessing. So, you know, there's a lot on the plate that we still need to do, and I'm going to ask Representative Keenan here, as an assistant district attorney. Sure. I'm sure you've seen enough crimes, and how much of a help would it be if you had witnesses able to recall license plates? How would that make your life?
Yeah, no, I would like to say first and foremost, thank you for bringing this to our attention. As the senator had mentioned, it seems rather simple and straightforward suggestion, but nobody else has done it yet. So I really do have to take my hat off to you for coming forward with this initiative after the tragedies that these families have gone through, and certainly Senator Tarr is to be commended as well for taking this up at the State House and really running with it. Most bills, very few bills are passed in one legislative session. I mean, we go through some 6,000 bills every 2 years of a session. So Senator Tarr's done a wonderful job getting it to the point where it is going to get into a substantive study and to figure out how we can best implement this. He recruited me to be a sponsor of the bill as well, and I'm happy to work with him on our side of the legislature, if you will, over in the House, to try to educate folks as we go forward that this really is a great tool, not only for the tragedies like the Bishes went through and other families have gone through, but the everyday crime that goes on, the hit and runs that happened when I was a prosecutor in Lynn District Court, I can barely remember on a good day what my license plate says right now, quite frankly. So when I look at this license plate, I can just remember it instantaneously just by seeing the 34 and the 55 and the star. So it makes a lot of sense. You know, I'm not a mathematician, but it's certainly very easy for all of our colleagues to understand how this would be effective tool for a criminal prosecutor to have as we go forward to help witnesses in all various types of cases, and certainly in the most tragic, that, you know, where the Amber Alert is involved. So I'm convinced and encouraged, and I'm certainly with Senator Tarr's enthusiasm for the bill and being on the right side of this, that we can make some good progress even as we go through the end of this legislative session to continue. The education process continues even after the formal session ends. We'll continue to let folks know over on our side and over in the Senate side how important this is. And, you know, certainly part of the equation is going to be a cost factor, and there's really no reason why we can't figure out a way to implement this as the least cost to the Commonwealth and the least cost to the people who have to buy the new plates. But certainly change is difficult no matter what you're going through. Even license plate numbers people get attached to, so it's an education process. And I think once people understand all the information that you've put out, I think it will be easy to convince people, and then it's just a matter of implementation, which I think Senator Bedore is wise enough to understand how we should do this, and again, Senator Tarr moving it forward on that side. So I look forward to working with him and continue to do this. As I mentioned, even the most recent tragedy in Marblehead, where there was a white car, it was a Lexus, and nobody has the license plate number. A tool like this would have been very helpful for them to then go ask that person questions as to what they saw in regarding to the girl that was killed over in Marblehead just over the course of the summer. So again, thank you for bringing this to our attention, and look forward to helping you.
Gary, I think that Representative Keenan raised a very good point, is that we also want to be fiscally prudent as we do this. And of course, there is a large cost associated with changing over all of the license plates in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But I think folks at home watching would be very interested to know that we've actually addressed that in the bill. And obviously we need to do some more work to refine the concept, but the concept is one of pay-as-you-go. And maybe it would be helpful for a moment for us to reverse roles. And let me ask you about the cost-generating or the revenue-generating aspect of this bill, which would help to ease the transition and minimize the economic burden on the taxpayers of the Commonwealth to implement a system like this. We clearly know that it impacts public safety in a positive way, but we also have to find a way to pay for it. Maybe you could explain a little bit about how that might work under the proposal that we're advancing.
Great. Thank you. First of all, the cost to society can never be quite measured when you talk about the loss of life. But the crime, you know, and the law enforcement costs that they're untold what the cost is to society. But being in a practical world, we have to measure the dollars and cents as well. And so what advantage we also have in Massachusetts is the fact that they want to turn in the green and white plates because they're virtually illegible, you know, on many of them. So there needs to be a turning in of those at some point anyway. So while we're doing that, why not issue these plates? So there's a tremendous cost savings, you know, right there. But the fact that we have a very creative society out there as well, when you take a look over your shoulder here, the new types of revenues that can be generated here by using symbols creatively will create tremendous revenues, and for new proliferation of vanity plates, you know, that can be out there. So not only will it end up paying for itself, I truly believe that this will be a revenue generator for the state above and beyond all costs.
That's always music to our ears.
Yeah, particularly now in the current recessionary time. And Gary, I know you've done some preliminary estimates, and I believe they indicate that this could generate a surplus of as much as $10 to $11 million on an annual or a semi-annual basis for the Commonwealth. Is that an accurate assumption?
Yes, I'm sure the legislators are going to want to see that study, you know, point to those types of numbers before they, you know, they approve it. But yes, the numbers are very, very real, and And it makes it a win-win-win situation all the way around for everyone except the bad guys.